Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Every once in a while, we have to bring out the big dog.
Yeah.
Oh, God help us. It's time for Danny Unleashed. Sponsored by Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Go to eastonroofing.com for more.
Hour number 2 of the program begins right now, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. It is Danny Unleashed. Danny Clinkscale from DannyClinkscale.com. Easton Roofing has you covered. No payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. Right now, call Easton Roofing at 913-257-5426. You can find them online at eastonroofing.com. Easton Roofing gets you back to life, gets you back to business faster, whether it's home or residential. And know this, big price increases are coming with roofing materials. This is happening all throughout the construction industry. The COVID shutdown, a lot of the materials, there was, plenty of materials for a while, but now we're hitting that spot where they're getting to where things were shut down, and materials cost is going to be going up. That's going to be reflected in the cost of the roofs. It's already happened with a lot of roofing companies. Easton, by buying in advance, is not gotten there yet, but that day's probably coming. Call 913-257-5426. That's 913-257-5426. Find them online at eastonroofing.com. A couple of updates. Texas Tech is a final. They take down Utah State by 12, 65-53. The 6 seed Texas Tech advancing over the 11. It's halftime, and Oral Roberts still has a lead on Ohio State. ORU 36, Ohio State 33. Games that are already, or one more game in action, I'm sorry. Baylor 20-14 over Hartford, the 1-16 matchup. There's 6.5 to go in the first half. 20-14 Baylor leads Hartford. Games that are already done. Florida 75-70 in OT over Virginia Tech. Arkansas 85-68 over Colgate. That's a 3-14. And Illinois advancing against Drexel 78-49. Getting ready. What's the next one to pop, Curtis?
Next one up is
Georgia Tech, Loyola, I think?
Just started. Or should be just starting in moments. Loyola, Georgia Tech, and then Tennessee, Oregon State.
All right, so hopefully your brackets are holding up. Danny Clinkscale is with us. Danny, how are you, my friend?
Doing well. I am sporting a Easton Roofing hoodie today.
Sharp.
Because you've got that kind of juice.
And, in fact, I was at the doctor's office today, where I'm spending a lot of time these days. But anyway, a guy saw my Easton Roofing hoodie, and he came over to me and said, Easton Roofing. And I said, yeah. They are a sponsor of my podcast, and I was working on it there. And he said, oh, they did my roof last year. They did a fantastic job.
Wow, that's great.
And then just because it was me, he said, aren't you Danny Clinkscale? I said, yeah. He said, I'll be listening to you on the program today. And I said, thank you.
Oh, thank
you very much.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Well, that's quite kind. And as I understand it, you're going to be giving away some
I'm going to give away a couple of
Danny Clinkscale swag.
I'm going to give away a couple of Reasonably Irreverent podcast T-shirts. 2 of them. Right after Curtis gives the end of the hour question, I will have a question for you, and you can just reach out to me at danny@dannyclinkscale.com with the answer. And as we'll get to then, it's an excuse for me to indulge everyone in one of my things that I enjoy so much at tournament time, and I'll tell you that when we get to it.
Thank you for not creating more work for me, Danny.
No,
that's what I really appreciate.
I wasn't going to make you answer the phones, no.
So, and as I understand it, so anyone who wears an extra small, Danny.
Yeah.
No, I actually,
so Sam McDowell, if you're out there, now's your time to email Danny.
I actually went through my stash today. I'm going to order some new T-shirts here in a minute, but I do have an XL and an L. So
okay,
most people want those. But if you wanted something safer, I'll just ask people what they want. If they want something for their wife or their kid, I have a couple smalls too. So,
Curtis, which one are you going to have, XL or L?
I just had an apple. I had a pretty healthy breakfast this morning. I probably squeeze into an L.
neither one.
No.
Neither one of us has seen an L for quite some time.
If you took the XL,
taking the L.
if you took the material from the XL and the L, took it all apart and remade one shirt, maybe.
No.
Yeah,
No chance.
Yeah, I've had a couple of requests for 2XL, and I do not have those in stock.
Yeah, it's because you live in a fantasy land. That's why.
Well, no, I live in a land of budget, and I figured, well, where do I want to spend my resources? I know that there'd be a few double XLs, but maybe not as many as there would be.
When people
XLs.
ask me, why do you have nothing but T-shirts, polos, and pullovers? I'm like, why do you think? It's not easy to. There's not a
those
lot
are the
of stuff
things
that's
that's
affordable.
easiest to sow a sale into.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
I don't want to be walking around my apartment, says Curtis, picking up burst buttons all day long.
Oops.
Danny, let's begin with K-State because I don't
Okay.
want to pound them all day. So
Right.
we'll get out from under it here quickly. Tim Fitzgerald did a nice job. We talked to him a couple of weeks ago about this, and we're like, listen, the problem, he keeps recruiting guys, but guys keep leaving, right? So this isn't like, oh, we're a young team, but I'm going to build them into it. Like, the payoff never seems to come. He had 3 guys that he got to the finish line. Otherwise, no one else seems to finish there. Like, it's, did K-State make a big mistake in not letting him go at the end of the year?
Well, I would say that they seemed fully committed to it. So for me to say that they made a mistake, I guess, would be hindsight. But because I think that the thing that makes this extra painful is I think that they had made it clear to him that he was safe. So he felt pretty good about playing maybe some guys extra minutes that he ordinarily wouldn't have. Now these 3 guys I don't think fell into that category because I think they all each played about the amount they would want to. And maybe it's the fact that somehow they go the extra mile, or one of their or their assistant coaches do a good job, and so maybe they aren't that fired up about going to K-State, but they look at it as their best opportunity, and then they go there and they're like, well, either I did well enough that I think I can find greener pastures, or maybe it's tougher than we think, or it's less fun than we think. We know that Bruce Weber's kind of a straight shooter. Maybe he has extra rules that other places don't have. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but what I know is that Dejuan Gordon is a good player, and he spoke.
Yeah.
He was talking about that we're going to be the number 1 team in the country next year.
How about this quote is from...
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
When did he say that?
He said that right after the season.
I thought he said...
Why didn't somebody tell me that?
I thought I heard that he said if we had played the end of the year like we played the first of the year, we could have been number 1. That's what I thought I heard.
I saw the quote again today. He said, I think we can be the number 1 team in the country next year.
Well, this line from Weber...
lost his mind.
Bruce Weber released a statement on...
Is it hallucinogenics? That
Well, Antonio Gordon, and I'll let Curtis get to his...
let's just keep cutting him off.
bit of information. But Antonio Gordon, they sort of shut him down for the season under a mysterious quote of he's got, full health issues that aren't just physical or whatever. It sounded like there's mental health issues too, or whatever.
Well, and that's not funny. If he has
no, it's not funny. I guess it was the stress.
I'm laughing at the fact that they didn't give a straight answer.
Right.
Yeah.
It was an odd answer. I'd have to look at the exact quote, but it was a variety of health issues, not all of them physical, or something like that. Anyway, so he was shut down early. So there was something a little bit odd going on there, and then the other player was a junior college player, and maybe he thinks I got just one go-round and I want to play a little more, although he played a significant amount. But really, Dejuan Gordon is the one that's a real killer because he was considered like a team leader in addition to being a good player.
Yeah, and this comment from Bruce Weber's statement, and Tim Fitzgerald touched on it this past hour. Weber said, although Dejuan has played significant minutes and has started most games the past 2 seasons, he indicated his desire to have a larger role offensively.
Right.
So that folds back into they seem to like him, but they don't want to play for him.
Right, and also, hey, sometimes these players, as I said, maybe he didn't have the opportunities he was looking for. He went to K-State, he played well, and now he thinks, well, I can go somewhere else and just, they'll give me the ball all the time, and I'll do whatever I want and score a bunch of points, and it's better to go to the league. I don't understand why these guys think sometimes the way they do. If you play good basketball in a Power 5 conference, even if your numbers aren't as good as they would be, say, if you went over to the MAC and averaged 19 or 21 or something, they're going to find you. I mean, they're going to find you.
They have scouts.
Yeah.
Well, but I think if they feel like they're not able to show their full array of skills, which, let's be honest, that goes back to Marcus Foster. I mean, Foster wanted to get the ball in the air, and he left and he went to Creighton, and he did. Now, he didn't go on to the pros necessarily, and I think one of the things that's misunderstood from the basketball culture is we the average, college basketball fan, which I don't think actually even watches that much college basketball. They just watch their team in the tournament. Their idea of success, a successful basketball career, is limited only to the NBA. They don't realize that these kids are well aware of the fact that there are, even a $35,000 a year job playing in the second league in Turkey. They're playing basketball for $35,000 and not, picking the carts up out of the lot at Walmart. Like, that doesn't suck. If you're going to make, and no offense to anybody who picks up the carts, it's got to be done. Someone's got to do it. My point is, though, $35,000 is $35,000. Doing something you like to do to get it is what we'd all want, like whatever you can get. But, I know kids who have gone and that's what they've done. They played in like Romania's second league for like, $25,000. But they're still playing ball. They're holding on to the dream.
And also,
if they weren't doing that, they'd be making $25,000, at an accounting firm in the mailroom or whatever. That job sucks. And they're seeing the world and playing ball. And I know other kids that are making $250,000,
right.
Playing in higher leagues. So, there's more to it than just, well, he should want to stay at school. What's he going to go? I don't know, because he got $55,000 to go play in England. Like, not bad.
And probably more of the players should realize that they should do a little more of that instead of clinging to the dream of the league. Because what do we see every year in the NBA draft? What, about 15 picks are American college players? In the first round. I mean, there's just not that many jobs. So, and if you make 125 in one of the good leagues in Europe, and you get to put that in the bank basically. I mean, they pay your expenses, and you get an apartment, and you don't play that much either. They don't play as many games. It's easier. So, I mean, there's several KU players who we've never seen in the NBA, especially maybe from the early days of Bill Self's tenure, and Roy Williams too, who've played in Europe for 15 years and made a bunch of money.
Yeah, I know a number of different kids that have been over there for a decade. And you know what? They meet people, they get married, they have kids. Life goes, and they're in the basketball world, and then maybe they transition into coaching or scouting. Maybe it's in Europe, maybe it's in the U.S., wherever it is. That's valuable experience for a career in basketball. Like, listen, let's be honest. A lot of guys major in basketball. It doesn't mean they just major in basketball as a player. Yeah, they might play till they're 30 or 26 or whenever it's over, whenever it doesn't work, and then they become a coach or a scout, or they're in basketball ops, or whatever it might be. That basketball is what they want. I mean, we have just such a, like, LeBron's the only one that's a success in the NBA. I'm like, if you're not in the league and make $50 million, then you failed. Right. It doesn't work that way. I get it, but back to K-State.
Right.
Is it too late to make a move now?
I think it probably is, especially if you were dedicated to this particular coach. And I think he probably has the communication with Gene Taylor about some of these moves. I know that earlier this season, and we talked about that before, they had some transfers, before this season, or maybe at the outset of the season. And, the general narrative from the K-State side with these were that these guys were guys that they wanted to go, and in football they had some of those too. But these are, you got a star player here who was, or at least a, lead player, a starting player who you thought very highly of, and that one's the. But all three were viable parts of next year's team, and now that looks very much compromised. So.
And by the way, if anyone ever gets excited, if ever even considers dialing 913-381-810 to tell me, to try to correct me about how a recruiting class is good because they got the number 1 or number 3 junior college player, I might find you and fight you.
Yeah, that's 30 years old narrative.
Yeah.
I mean, you could used to, back in the day, if you got the number 1 junior college player, he probably could play.
Larry Johnson.
And he was,
Larry Johnson.
Because you
and
actually,
since then,
they actually couldn't get some people into school. That was
right.
a reality. Now you can get anybody in. I mean, it's going to happen.
No,
I mean, you'd have to shoot the chancellor not to get into.
Let me tell you something. If you're recruiting a junior college player, you have utterly failed on the recruiting trail. Period. End of discussion. You have failed on that scholarship.
Right. It's Plan D, and if you get something out of that said player, then that's gravy.
Yeah, it's just there's just nothing there. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the Jayhawks and Tigers' chances in this tournament. What does Danny think of them and how far they will go? Also want to get into free agency. Allegedly, Juju Smith-Schuster took less money from the Steelers to stay in Pittsburgh on a one-year deal than a one-year deal he could have gotten with the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll talk about that with Danny Clinkscale coming up next.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing, and boy, we had to negotiate a million things in 2020, but Easton Roofing navigated them all. As 2021 rolls out, what should we expect this coming storm season?
Well, Danny, it'll be the same thing as it is every year. The storms come, and you've got the guys out knocking on doors offering quote-unquote free inspections. Be wary as a homeowner. If somebody's knocking on your door, they probably need the work, and if they need the work that bad, they may be willing to do something untoward to get it. So if somebody knocks on your door, says they want to give you a free inspection, just tell them have a great day and give us a call. We'll come out for free and give you a good, honest opinion as to whether or not you need to do anything at all with your roof.
And what's the best way to get in touch with Easton Roofing?
You can always find us online at eastonroofing.com or give us a call at 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
All right, the Joe's Kansas City Barbecue burnt end of the hour answer. What coach has the longest active streak of NCAA tournament appearances?
Oh, wow. That changed this year.
Yeah, Mike Krzyzewski's all-time record of 24 came to an end.
I know, because I gave you the question. So
yes, you did.
Has Michigan State missed in a while?
There you go. Tom Izzo, 23. Yeah. Bill Self, 22. Mark Few, 21. The others with double digits, Roy Williams and Mick Cronin, have been in 10 straight. So Izzo
How about that Mick Cronin with 10? Would you? I mean, that's pretty impressive. I know he just made it this year, but to change schools, mid-go, that's pretty good.
That is impressive. That was either an impressive job last night by his squad or an utter meltdown by Michigan State, and I might as well have torn up my bracket immediately because I had one long shot team make a nice run in the tournament. And lo and behold, it was Sparty. And there they go. I'm watching last night saying,
up 11 at the half.
Watch them piddle this one away. So, which they did. All right, it's time for me to give away my 2 T-shirts. The first 2 people to email me with the answer to this vintage question.
What's the email address, Danny?
Danny at DannyClinkscale.com.
Really? You do have it? There hasn't been any kind of screaming, yelling, loss of email thing?
Danny at DannyClinkscale.com. Nice and simple. Clinkscale, Clinkscale, because many people spell it with a D in the middle of the back of my last name.
That's just because you can't enunciate.
Yeah, I'm often known as a slurring speaker.
Well, on Fridays.
Well, I posted on my Twitter account, if you go there, the all-time vintage incredible video of Ernie DiGrigorio's unbelievably excellent play in the national semifinal in 1973, something all basketball fans should see.
It is something,
It is insane.
Man. And 4 incredible highlights that just keep in mind when you watch them, it's not like they're running, Little Trinity College out of the gym in January. This is the national freaking semifinal. So anyway, in the first highlight, the third person besides Ernie DiGregorio and Marvin Barnes, who is an NBA player, makes the wing jumper. Send me his name. He played for the Boston Celtics. Send me his name, and there's a big hint in the video, too. But first and last name. You'll have to be first and last name, and you will win a T-shirt. So the first 2 at DannyClinkscale.com. And if nothing else, you will get to see 4 of the most amazing plays you will ever look at.
The third one, the three-quarter length or behind the back pass into the lane, I've watched for years, and I still can't get my head around how that
Danny and I were at
happened.
the Final Four one time, and they were taking Jimmer Fredette around the
Yes.
year he had his amazing year at BYU. And Danny said, "Hey, I want you to see this play. You kind of remind me of this guy. I want you to see this play that, or you ever heard of Ernie DiGregorio?" And he goes, "No." And he was kind of acting like, "Oh, God, what is this?" And Danny plays the pass, and Jimmer Fredette's like, "Oh, my God."
He made me play it. He made me play it like 8 times.
Yeah, he goes, "Play it again. Play it again."
And
So-
and actually, the last one of the 4 might be almost a better pass than the long one, but they're all fantastic.
He was
anyway.
something
They are
else, man.
fantastic. It's insane. It looks like it's the kind of pass you make as a dad playing against third graders.
It absolutely is, and I actually sent it to Matt Tate the other day because we had been talking about hoops recently from the Lawrence Journal World, and he sends it back to me. He goes, "It looks like he's from another freaking planet."
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
It is amazing. So anyway, a nice T-shirt designed actually by my daughter. It's a pretty simple little T-shirt, but she did a great job on it. I said I want the reasonably irreverent on the front and the DannyClinkscale.com on the back. And then she got back to me and said, "Dad, it's a lot more expensive if you put stuff on the front and the back." I said, "Okay, just on the front.
Front it is.
Front it is.
Front it is.
Front it is." So there you go.
I want 7 colors. I'd go with just 1 or 2, Dad. Yeah, I've been down that road. I know what you're talking about there. Danny Unleashed, brought to you by Easton Roofing. Find them online at eastonroofing.com. Easton Roofing, integrity matters. Also, Joe's Kansas City Barbecue we give away there. joeskc.com. Send it anywhere in the country. The Kansas City Barbecue store, of course, at 119th and Strangline. Their wonderful creation. Going to have a beautiful weekend, so get some grilling going. Need a new grill, some sauces, some rubs, fuel, meat. Kansas City Barbecue Store. Find them online at theKansasCityBBQStore.com. I've got a trip out there. I've got some things I need to get. One of them could be a new grill. I got my grill at the Kansas City Barbecue Store, and I don't know. I just think it might be ready for a bigger, more turbocharged. I don't think I'm ready for the trailer that is a smoker. They have one of those there as well. Like if you're that big time, competition teams get their stuff at the Kansas City Barbecue Store. But I think I might be ready for a bigger grill, so I might be headed out there this weekend. Danny, well, what chance do you give your Hawks? Where you got them going?
I have them going 1 win and out. I don't think they've got enough for USC. They've got a lot of challenges. The players that are coming, even if when they get the players back in staggered amount, you don't know how COVID has affected them.
Right.
At first, it was like it was contract tracing. Now we know they all have actually tested positive for it. And I don't know if even at full strength, I think it would have been a toss-up game with USC. I would have given Kansas probably a little bit of an edge there just because of Bill Self and tournament pedigree. But I just think it's too challenging. But what it does create is if they make any noise in this tournament, then it's going to when they were going through their struggles, Bill Self said, we have a chance to write a Cinderella ending to the season, I think was the phrase he wrote, or something like that, some kind of great story. A great story. We can finish this with a great... It truly would be a great story if they were playing in the Elite Eight or something with all the challenges that they faced. And with the fact that, in the middle of the season, they actually dropped out of the top 25, which hadn't happened in forever and a day. So, but I do have them going out to USC in the second round.
I do too. I've got them going out to Drake actually in the second round. But
Whoa, that'd be a story.
Yeah.
Double revenge or revenge for Drake.
Yeah.
From 50 years ago.
Well, if they get Drake, I'll think they can win that one.
Well, I think they can win USC.
Right.
I mean, they can win.
They can. Win. Right.
Yeah, but I'm with you, and maybe even to a bigger degree. Now, listen, spare me. I think I've proven myself over the years that I am not out to get any of these schools. I just give you my honest opinion. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll analyze and examine, and we'll talk about why my opinion didn't work out. I'm saying this because I think it's a tremendous challenge that Bill Self faces. And I say it because I'm with you. I think even stronger, the idea of And maybe it's because, just the nature of having to, reinvent yourself. Like he does it seemingly every year. Somebody goes down, and he reinvents the rotation. That's so much harder than people realize. He makes it look easy, but I don't know how you can get ready not play with David McCormick. Do they have McCormick against Oklahoma? No, they didn't, right?
No.
Right, okay. So not play, go back to they finally find their stride playing 4 out, 1 in through McCormick. Then they go play without him. Now they're going to practice without him and Wilson. And then McCormick's going to come back. They're going to practice without him, but then he's going to come back and play in the game after you've practiced without him. That's a mess. That is a hot mess that is not getting enough run as to how hard it is. Now, it's absolutely well within Bill Self's ability to find a way to make this work, and then even go and kick Eastern Washington's butt, and then slap around somebody else. He's that good a coach. Mm-hmm. But I'm predicting him to lose because I think it's incredibly hard. And maybe almost to soften the blow for Jayhawk fans, maybe even to make it easier for me on Monday, if I have to take calls about what went wrong and everybody's freaking out, like, how can you do this? Is really hard. But I think the flip side is if he is in the Sweet 16 having gone through this, people better be damn impressed and understand what he's done. Because it is what he's attempting to do here is not easy. And their talent level, their Kansas is so talented. Really? Because McCormick, my recollection, was like top 30, right? But didn't practice.
He was a highly rated recruit, yeah.
And then Wilson and Anaruna are their next highest recruited guys, and they were in the, 50s?
50 range, yeah, something like that.
Okay, and then who's the next highest guy? Obaji was well over 100.
Oh, no, I think he was in, he was way off the radar screen. He was like 300 or something.
Okay.
Wouldn't it probably be Marcus Garrett? Wasn't he in the 90s, I think? Because he was
Marcus
Texas
Garrett
Player
was
of
in the
year.
90s. Brown ended in the 90s, but was in the 150s until Kansas said they wanted him, and then he ended in the 90s. There was that, if Kansas got him, hell, I must have him way wrong. Let's bump him up 50 spots. So he's going to battle with a Missouri-like roster. Because Missouri, Tillman, because everyone always wants to be like, Bill Self has so much talent, which I always pisses me off because he is the general manager, by the way. Right. It wasn't handed to him. Jeff Long didn't go get those players. He got those players. So I always bristle when people throw the talent thing. But this time, Jeremiah Tillman was as highly ranked as McCormick, or at least in the same neighborhood, and I think actually was higher ranked.
I'm seeing McCormick was 36, Tillman 43. So it means basically a wash.
Okay. I thought I remember Tillman being like 25 or something, but okay, we'll take 43.
Well, people didn't
Which
see
one
him
are you
because he
looking
was
at?
in foul trouble.
24/7.
Okay. So then who's the next highest guy? Then Mizzou's got a bunch of guys. They've got somebody else is at the bottom of the top 100, and then they've got some 100-ish guys. I really don't think the talent is that different. Oh, but at least Missouri got to practice with all their kids.
Right.
So I think it needs to be respected what Bill Self's going to battle with. If he gets beat, the team's not actually that talented. And if he wins, you better understand that he's overcome a lot of hurdles, and this is why the guy can flat-out coach.
Well, I think that anybody who hasn't realized that to this point probably doesn't, as you said earlier, watch much college basketball, or they just watch their team in the tournament. And some people would go out there and sit out there and say, well, we know now how we got all that talent, but blue blood programs, that was the game they were playing. And you were competing, and you were playing against, there was still a large group of those schools that you had to get the players from. So about 8 to 10 schools that are sort of in Kansas's category. And you had to craft a roster and to make yourself better than Arizona or whoever. So,
yeah, I can't see a deep run, but if they make the Sweet 16, I'll be really impressed. I think
really 2 wins would be a successful tournament. Now it does raise one of my pet peeves in sports, which is, actually I heard another one today, but the run to the Sweet 16. Please.
The hop.
It's 2 hops.
Yeah.
It's not a run. I mean, and somebody said it on the 2-minute drill the other day. I think I can see them making a run to the Sweet 16.
First
Come
four
on,
guys. One
come
of the first four guys teams gets in there. That's something of a run. Three teams. But two, no. I get your point.
But it's 2 games. You won back-to-back games. That's not a run. It fits in with your rule in baseball of a streak or a.
Yeah, you gotta win 4 in a row to be a streak. That's our.
But even in tournament basketball, I will accept a run to the Elite Eight, even though it still is 3 bunny hops. But I'll accept that. The other one I heard today, actually on the broadcast, is that people that women's college basketball has done it. They have adopted the NBA rule of if you call timeout, you get the ball at half court. I think that is one of the worst rules.
I agree.
In sports, it's horrendous.
It makes no sense.
It's so unfair to the. It's like Monopoly. You just picked up a card. You can pass go and go all the way to Mediterranean or whatever the hell. I mean, it's so stupid. You worked your ass off to get a 1-point lead with 0.6 seconds to go, and all the other team has to do is put one hand to the other one, and they get 48 feet of real estate.
Well, yeah, they can literally lob it to the rim.
And I get that. I don't understand how.
Want to make the excitement.
Yeah, the game has evolved. Okay, the game has evolved, right? We've widened the lane because it was too easy to score down there. We're not worried about the lane anymore. You know what the game has done? Then now everybody can shoot from 30 feet. So here's what you don't need to do. Advance the ball. When nobody could shoot and the only way you could score was to get it all the way to the rim. Okay, we're hey, we got to add some excitement because, the last minute sucks because nobody can score. By the way, part of the reason why Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell had 25 rebounds in games is because nobody could shoot.
Right. Look at I was talking about this with Curtis the other day. One of the great scorers in NBA history is Elgin Baylor. He shot, what would he find out? I thought it was worse, but he shot 43% for his career. Some of the shooting, look at Tommy Heinsohn sometime. Tommy Gunn was, a big scorer. He's in the Hall of Fame as a player. I think he shot sub 40 in his career. There are a lot of rebounds out there.
Bill Russell, the highest shooting percentage of Bill Russell. By the way, and I'm going to quote the Jewish author, who's the guy who used to be on ESPN, the Big Book of Basketball?
Oh,
Bill Simmons.
Bill
Simmons, who showed in his Big Book of Basketball has a photo of Bill Russell blocking the shot of Bill Sharman or something, and he's stop with Bill Russell, he was an athletic freak. And he was so much bigger than everybody, right? And so he'd throw shots in the face. He's of course he was blocking shots and rebounding. He was going up against 6'6" Jewish guys, right? That's Bill Simmons writes that in his book. He was. I know Wilt was a bigger, much bigger player, and was also very athletic. But other than Wilt, nobody else was bigger. Nobody else was more athletic. Do you know what the highest shooting percentage for one season of Bill Russell's entire career is?
I don't think he cracked 50, did he?
484.
Right.
Wilt Chamberlain was the first player to shoot 50% from the field in 1961. They played NBA basketball for 14 years before anybody, even the best player, shot 50%.
Right, and then you weren't going to take a shot from distance because it didn't get you any more points.
Right.
No, I'm with you. The advancing the ball, the only time that I would ever be in favor of it is if I'm trailing and coaching a game. Then,
right.
Works for me.
Then I think it's a great rule. I think it's fantastic. All right, let's take a break. Danny Unleashed, Danny Klinkskill's with us. He's brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Don't forget, those material costs are going up. The cheapest price to get any work done on your roof is going to be right now. Call 913-257-5426. Integrity matters with Easton Roofing. They're going to educate you on every possible solution, whether it's guttering, whether it's attic insulation, give you every possible option. Sometimes all you need is a repair. A lot of roofing companies don't even do repairs. Easton Roofing's happy to do repairs. Get a free inspection today by calling 913-257-5426.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing. And, Joe, there's all kinds of roofing companies in Kansas City. People see their trucks, they see their ads, they see their commercials on TV. What separates you out from the pack?
Danny, you know, there's a lot of roofers in Kansas City that are good roofers that can put a good roof on, but we like to pride ourselves on giving you a good customer service experience. From the first time you call, you're going to get a friendly voice on the phone. We're going to let you know what's happening and when it's happening. And, you know, the other piece is some companies are small enough to do small jobs. Some companies are big enough to do big jobs. You know, we're right there in the middle. We can handle the little stuff. We can handle your repairs all the way up to your big commercial roofs.
So what's the best way for folks to get in touch with you at Easton Roofing?
You can find us at eastonroofing.com, or you can always call us at 913-257-5426. That's 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
Danny Unleashed, brought to you by Easton Roofing, is what's happening right now here in the program. Easton Roofing, no payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. Find them online at eastonroofing.com. Commercial, residential, they do it all. Project manager on every site, happy to do repairs. Best of Houses Award winner time and time again, Angie's List Super Service Award. That is Easton Roofing. Get back to life, get back to business faster with Easton Roofing. 913-257-5426, online at eastonroofing.com. Danny, the Mizzou Tigers. Oklahoma lost their second leading scorer due to COVID. He's got to get through this round. Throw in the fact that the Las Vegas Review-Journal posted the a list of 5 guys for the UNLV job, and his name was on it. I have friends that work for said paper. It was said to me that those names are not there because no contacts have been made. That either the AD has reached out to the agent for the coaches and or the agent has reached out to the school. Conzo Martin's name is one of them on that list. If you want to go, and I think it's purely to try to say, hey, there's a lot of interest out there for me, so give me an extension. There was a lot of scuttlebutt. Mizzou people I know, Mizzou people that, you know, I'm not tight with any of the big money guys, but I know folks that do know them, say that an extension was in the works. I don't know how that could be the case with the way they finished.
And I don't know I don't know how in the world he can, you know, with the rollovers he's got and everything, I don't see how an extension. I wouldn't extend him. He's got a sweetheart deal. I think the most important thing here is the fact that, well, first of all, the university as a whole hasn't won an NCAA tournament game since 2010, which obviously means he hasn't. He had this great season rolling in a circumstance where he was, I think, a veteran team was taking advantage of circumstance and doing it well, and then they just faded away. And
let's be clear. He can't be fired until May 1st of 22. He can't be fired for less than $6 million until May 1st of 23 now.
Right. I mean, it's an unbelievable agent of the millennium. Whoever got somebody to either that or he was packing heat when he was in the negotiating. I mean,
made him an offer he can't refuse.
Right, exactly.
Where was Luca Brasi during all this?
Right. So
I think he's got the big agent out of Arkansas or Alabama. Where is he? I think he does have that agent that has tons and tons of coaches. So he's got a good one.
But I think that if they don't win a tournament game, at least, one of the things you want is that if you've got a coach who's on a contract like that, you want your fan base to be fired up about him. I think the general consensus, Curtis, you can address this too, it seems among Missouri fans is good man, don't know if he can coach. Don't know if we're ever going to reach real heights here with him. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
And you got to change that. Nobody's like, Conzo, my man.
Yeah, he's an incredibly honorable guy. Can get some dudes from here and there, but just, I mean, that team way too many times looks like they're not being coached in the course of a game.
And they lose too many games. You know, they have so many good wins this year.
Yeah.
But they lose too many games that they just have no business losing.
That's what's so frustrating is, like, I want to get behind Bruce Weber. I want to get behind Conzo Martin. Not that any K-State or Missouri fan needs my fat ass on their side to validate it, but like, just I don't want to sit here and discuss their coaching changes all the time. I want to see these programs win, because that's what really gets listenership fired up and wanting to listen to sports radio.
And they seem to be people to root for.
Yeah.
Agreed. On a personal level. And
yes.
and they want to do things the right way, and they clearly care about the people they coach as more than basketball players. I mean, Cuonzo Martin's discussion about the fact I'm telling these guys to leave.
You got to convince me to come back.
Right. They got to move on with their life. I mean, there's so much good there, but in the end, you got to win ball games. I mean, that's your job. That's your first job, unfortunately. The molding of men, we love it. It's great, but it doesn't make your fan base fired up. Now, if he can combine the two, he's the best coach you can have. 20 years of him, everybody be delighted. But you got to win games like tonight or tomorrow night.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's a really big one. He's got to bank some equity here. And, it sucks that to me, he'd have been better off as a 10 rather than running into Gonzaga in the second one. But just go play valiantly. Just make Gonzaga play for 39 minutes. And, I think you can earn a lot of cred that way. But, no, I'm with you. I think it's a big one. Danny, great stuff as always, buddy. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yep, got 2 winners. No more emails.
Nice. Stand down. Danny Klingscale, DannyKlingscale.com.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.